Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
You had this place secure.
He went in the cockpit.
He's going to hell. McLean? I assume it's you, McLean. You're quite a little soldier. You can consider this a military funeral.
Hi, Pint listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Pint, a pop culture podcast. Today we're doing the first week of summertime 1990 since July is now upon us. My name is Lloyd.
Hi, I'm Stew.
Yeah, you got it. You heard that right. It's just me and Stew. No John today. He texted me literally like an hour ago when I was getting ready to eat. And he said, Manster, I stubbed my pinky toe and I just can't record tonight. Luckily, I have the Pint safety net, Stew, from the Stew World Order podcast. And we are not stopping. We are moving forward. And we're going to do this. How you doing, Stu?
I'm doing poor. I'm doing very poor. There's a reason we are recording on John's StreamYard service. And that's, if I may bitch for a minute,
go ahead.
I was the last person on earth still using Skype. As a podcaster, I was the last person on earth still using Skype. And then in May, they discontinued Skype. Skype no longer exists. You can't use it. And I had put off coming up with a replacement for Skype because I'm currently recorded up through like mid-August. So I've really punted on this problem. I did not want to have to deal with it. But then tonight, John said that he wasn't going to be hosting, so I would host the recording. And I thought, okay, well, it's time to figure out what I'm going to use instead of Skype now. And everything I tried tonight either wanted me to pay for it or it did not work at all or it did not work on the free version. So John just gave me his login and said, just use my StreamYard and we'll go for it. But I'm just dying here trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my podcast going forward, how I'm going to record things. So I sent a bunch of call to arms out on the social medias, and I'm waiting for people to get back to me on what they use and what's free and what isn't that complicated. Because I know some people use Discord, and I don't understand Discord like as a service, much less trying to record stuff on it. So that's going to be a no from me. Zoom only lets you do something for 40 minutes or else you have to pay for their monthly fee. Here's the thing. It's not that I don't have the money. It's that I have principles, and Skype was free, motherfucker. Skype was free and did everything I wanted it to for free. And I'm not going to turn around and pay for something now when Skype was free for years. So I'm a principled motherfucker, and I want a free service.
Well, let's see how that model works for you.
I don't want to pay for things. I don't want to pay for things.
Yeah, the world has moved on, I think. As I am currently rereading the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, and that is a common theme. The world has moved on.
Yeah.
Well,
my wife
good luck in
series.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they're going to make a real legit, like, I don't know, Netflix.
I think it's Max.
I hadn't heard that they had decided yet. So.
Oh, okay. Last I heard, they were looking at Max, and I knew it was Mike Flanagan. And I know he's really taking his time with it because he wants to get it as perfectly as he can. So I don't think it's imminent, but somewhere down the pike, we should be getting it. Yes.
Somewhere down the pike. And yeah, it's going to be just take care of that travesty that was a 1.5 hour movie.
My wife hated that so much. I've never seen my wife get so mad at things. It's like when you see comic book movies with comic book nerds and they've changed things and they get mad at the things they've changed. That was my wife watching The Dark Tower. She was so pissy about it. She just kept complaining the entire time.
Take a book, a novel, a series of 7 novels, actually 8 now, because there's been another one, and condense it. You're talking like thousands of pages condensed to 1.5 hours of a movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, they took the tiniest little portion of it and called it The Dark Tower.
Yeah. My wife was like, he would never stop being the gunslinger movie. That's not who he is. He would never shame his father's or whatever, however my wife was terming it. She had all the
forget the face of his father.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
That's not what we're here for today, unfortunately. I can't wait, maybe someday. But in case you don't remember, we are doing the Summertime 1990s. This is the first recording of it for the 2025 version. That is celebrates the summer blockbuster movies from May to August of the decade of 1990 through 1999. And it's Summertime 1990s. It's a good name, makes sense. Nothing clever like like Van Damuary or Blow Me Timber. Just simple and to the point. All right, let's get into it.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it, but it's all psychological. Just got to stay in a positive frame of mind.
We haven't even announced yet, right?
I don't think so. I don't think we've said what we're talking about. We're just trusting that everyone read the title of the episode.
Yeah, you've read the title of the episode. You've seen it. We are doing Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Released on July 4th of 1990, directed by Rennie Harlin, Finnish film director. We just talked about this guy a couple months ago when we did our, what did we call it? The winter stuff, the cold, frigid February
stuff.
That's what it was. So one of his movies was Cliffhanger. So we talked about him back then. I won't spend much time today, but he did Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, Adventures of Ford Fairlane, The Long Kiss Goodnight, and Deep Blue Sea. Some good stuff in there. Yeah. I like The Long Kiss Goodnight. That was fun.
I've never seen that one. That's a missing one for me.
Then we have screenplay by Stephen E. D'Souza. Worked on 48 Hours, Commando, The Running Man, The Flintstones. TV, he did $6 Million Man, The Hardy Boys, and Nancy Drew Mysteries. Also co-written by Doug Richardson, who did Money Train, Bad Boys, and he did rewrites for Live Free or Die Hard. So this movie was based on, it was adapted from a novel from Walter Wager, 1987 novel called 58 Minutes. And it basically has the same plot, but it's more about the daughter is in the air, and it's not as complex as this plot, which is basically what they needed to do. So the script expanded on that novel. It added the conspiracy involving the deposed South American dictator and that rogue U.S. military unit. That was all added for the film. And the movie, the pressure was on to escalate the stakes, right? Die Hard was a winner, so they just wanted to do it again, bigger, better, louder. But there was a lot of issues with that had some financial and logistical problems. I don't know if you are aware of any of those, but like one of the biggest challenges was the snow, the relentless pursuit of snow. So Rennie Harlin envisioned a snow-covered Dulles Airport, right, which is crucial for the film. The style, the visuals, in a key plot point. Well, he originally intended to shoot in Denver, Colorado, but that year was unseasonably warm and there was no snow to be found. So they were actually like chasing snows, like like those storm chasers chase tornadoes. Yeah,
If
they
you
were
feel
chasing.
it, if
Yeah,
you feel it, something it. I don't remember. I didn't like Twisters that much. Well, I'm not Nick from the live stream from The Cure. I'm not enamored of Twisters.
I liked the first one, but the second one, I had it on and I couldn't even pay attention, so I stopped. Yeah. Yeah. So that took them to different locations throughout Washington State and Michigan in search of their perfect winter wonderland. Which I don't know. They found some stuff, but I don't think it was that great as far as the snow.
Oh, you don't think? I thought the snow looked fine in this movie.
No, it really took me out of it a couple times.
Wow. Okay.
There was a lot of artificial snow, including like potato flakes and paper and rock salt and fire foam, all these different things they used. And they did some in a soundstage when they planned to be outside. So that also helped escalate. And I was thinking when I was reading this, I was like, why don't they just use snowmakers? Like like you go on like ski slopes.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was so smart, and I Googled it. Right, I said, why didn't Reddy Martin or whatever
Harlan.
his name is, Harlan, use snowmakers? And Google practically laughed at me.
Oh no!
Like, you silly boy! What a dumb question. Basically, it's the sheer time, cost, equipment, and logistics, and the weather involved in blowing snow. And it's not like you're just blowing it down a ski slope. This is a whole airport runway.
Okay, yeah, I never put a lot of thought into how snowmakers worked. I thought they just kind of blew snow and that was it. So
yeah, well,
it doesn't seem like it would be that much harder than using flakes of potatoes. Yeah, but what do I know?
I don't know. Some of the snow looked literally like ripped up pieces of paper to me in some of the scenes. And when they're blowing it, it blows around like paper. So I don't know. I didn't love that. But anyway, that and a lot of the action sequences caused the budget of the film to swell from like 40 million to about 70 million, which is pretty big. You're talking 1990.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money now, but 1990,
Yeah, it's a huge budget movie for 1990.
You also had some tensions on the set between Bruce Willis and Rennie Harlan. I guess Willis wanted a more serious and less humorous portrayal of the character. He wanted to take it in a different direction, but Harlan was like, no, you got to do all those one-liners, and that's what people love, and that's what you're going to do.
After the first Die Hard, how could Bruce Willis come in and be like, I don't want to say one-liners. I want to be very serious. Like, his character's even in a better place in this movie. He's happily remarried to Holly. Like, his character's happier, so why wouldn't he
you're right.
have the one-liners and the humorous moments? That's going to fly in the face of one of the things I do say I like about this movie later on, but you kind of have to have that attitude that was already established in Die Hard. You can't just erase that part of his character.
Can't, right. You can't erase that. No. Yeah, and you're definitely right. Like, he had a much better relationship, obviously, with his wife. They're back together, kissy, and, making little sexy jokes and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. He's not the boss. And one other thing that this film is notable for is being the first, or possibly one of the first, I couldn't nail it down, to utilize a digital composite live action footage on top of a traditional matte painting. That they scan into the computer and then they do their live action over that matte painting. I guess, it's the first before they weren't doing the live action over matte. So pretty groundbreaking technique for the time. And I guess they used that on that runway explosion too, that final scene. And then one other thing before we get to the cast is the TV edit. I actually started watching this on TV, and then it dawned on me that John gave me a Die Hard trilogy DVD set like a few years back. And I'm like, I think I got that downstairs. So one thing that they substitute the yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, because he does say that again in this movie. They substitute in yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. So I guess what they also did was to have that make sense was they gave Esperanza, the dictator, they
Yeah.
gave him the code name of Mr. Falcon.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, that's something, I guess. Yeah, that's a lot of work just to censor one line of the movie, though.
Yeah, but there's a few swears, right? There's a few F-bombs in there,
Yeah.
especially with Dennis Franz.
At least he doesn't show his ass like he did in NYPD Blue.
Oh, did he show it in that? Oh man,
Wasn't that pretty famous? Like the first season
yeah,
of
I think
NYPD
you're
Blue.
right. Yeah, they were always showing men's asses. Not a whole lot of women's, but a lot of men's.
Yeah, they were like, we're on at 10 o'clock at night on ABC. We can show asses.
Yeah. Right. And who wants to see, like, instead of, what's that chick's name? Instead of her ass, let's see Dennis Franz. Amy Brennerman. Yeah, she was in that.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on to the cast.
Assemble your crew.
Bruce Willis as LAPD Lieutenant Detective John McClane. He pulled in a $7.5 million salary for this.
Also very big for 1990.
Yep, pretty big. You'll know him from Moonlighting, Pulp Fiction, 12 Monkeys, Looper. Do you know, and I just realized this today, I was doing some research. He played on stage Paul Sheldon, the author from Misery.
Okay.
I guess that was his first stage production in the Bucks County Playhouse in New Hope, Pennsylvania.
I know of Bucks County. It's nowhere near me, but I know of it.
It's not near you. All right. Yeah, I know of Bucks County too. It's a pretty well-known area, at least the name of it. Bruce Willis and his family announced that he was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. I don't know about you, but I have that. I've been affected by that in my family and my loved ones, and my heart goes out to anyone that's struggling with that and the families of those people. It is a heartbreaking disease, and it's just terrible to see someone like that status, suffering with that.
Yeah, I had somebody in my family just within the last 2.5 years passed away from Alzheimer's, dementia, and it was tough watching them regress from who they were to who they became at the end there. It was bad.
Yeah, it just steals your fucking whole persona, your memories, everything.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Then we have Bonnie Bedelia as Holly Gennaro McClane. She's the wife of Bruce Willis's character. She was in Presumed Innocent, Needful Things, a lot of other stuff. She is the aunt of the actors Macaulay Culkin, Kieran Culkin, and Rory Culkin.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't aware of that until I looked at it.
No, this is the first time I've ever heard she was related to them.
Yep. I'm going to try and go through these quickly because, we got a lot to talk about. William Atherton as Richard Dick Thornburg. He was in The Hindenburg, if you recall that movie from the 70s. Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which is another 70s movie where I would try to catch snippets of it on HBO when I was a kid because there's some titties in that. It's just one of those movies. Then Ghostbusters, obviously. Yes, this man has no dick. He was born in Orange, Connecticut. So
okay.
I always like to get those Connecticut, links in there. Then we have Reginald Veljohnson as LAPD Sergeant Al Powell.
They really shoehorned him into this movie just to give him a role, didn't they? Which good. I'm always happy for Reginald Veljohnson to have a paycheck, but he really didn't need to be in this movie.
He didn't. No, he didn't. He was in Turner and Hooch. He played Carl Winslow in the sitcom Family Matters. Yeah, did a lot of TV shows, just a lot of sitcoms and stuff like that. Then, more people getting shoehorned in. Franco Nero as General Ramon Esperanza. So Franco Nero's real name is Francesco Clemente Giuseppe Sparinero.
Yeah, those Hispanic names are crazy. They have so many middle names, or however they get all those names. They've got so many.
They got a lot of names.
Yeah, you think that in America you've got 3 names, and you're like, I'm not too many people are going to have the same name as me. Like nobody in all of Hispania can possibly have the same name as anybody else with all those middle names, man.
I'll tell you, I do have 4 names myself. I've got a junior tacked on the end of my 3
Oh,
names.
okay, okay.
But it doesn't sound as flowing as
It
that.
doesn't sound as good.
No, not at all. He did a lot of 60s and 70s, like Italian films. He did a movie we did here, Enter the Ninja, where he played a pretty funny character. I thought he was funny. He like totally molested that lady when he saw her. He was in John Wick Chapter 2, also The Pope's Exorcist. Then we have William Sadler as the U.S. Army Colonel William Stewart. Now, really good character actor. He's in so much stuff, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't on that particular episode, but I'm pretty sure he was on somebody's list when we did the character actor episode years ago. He was in Bill
a
and
long time ago. You guys,
yeah,
did that.
like
I remember that episode. That was a while.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
It feels like before COVID, or maybe it was right before COVID. He was in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Shawshank Redemption, of course, Demon Knight, which we also did with Curtis Spieler, The Green Mile, and recently he was in the new Salem's Lot movie from 2024.
Oh yeah, he was.
He took the place of the other character actor, right? Not right. What's his name? Jeffrey Lewis.
Okay.
They played the same character years apart. Then you have John Amos as Major Grant. If you're younger, you may not know this guy, but he played James Evans Sr. in Good Times, the TV show. He was in The Beastmaster, Coming to America. What was the name of that place that he worked? Not McDonald's, but something similar.
Oh, in Coming to America?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I don't know.
Oh, really? It sounded like McDonald's, but it was slightly different. And then Coming to America, which is the second one, which I've heard is terrible. Time. Yeah. I just heard horrible things. Also played himself in Uncut Gems. I don't know if you ever saw that with Adam Sandler.
I didn't. My wife watched it and hated it, so I just never got around to watching it myself.
I didn't hate it, but it's just more Adam Sandler than I could take.
She said for her problem with it, she said it gave her anxiety. It was all just people yelling and being frantic and everything. She said
very
it was
much so. Dennis Franz as the airport police captain, Carmine Lorenzo. We already talked about him. He played Detective Andy Sipowicz on NYPD Blue. He was in a lot of movies that go way back. Dress to Kill. He was in Popeye, Psycho 2. He was an uncredited voice in Scarface. He played like a border police or something like that. And also Body Double. Going back to those Dress to Kill, Body Double type movies. Then we have Art Evans as Leslie Barnes. He's the airport chief engineer. He's the black dude with the white hair.
Yeah.
He was in The Main Event. I don't know if you ever saw that, but Barbra Streisand movie and Ryan. What's his name? Why can't I remember his name? Anyway, it's escaping me right now. Tough Turf, which we did here on the Pint years ago as well. Fright Night, the 1985 brilliant movie, and Ruthless People.
He's in Fright Night? I've got to rewatch Fright Night. I don't remember that. I love Fright Night.
I forget what character.
Yeah.
I even like the second one, the 2011, I think.
Oh, the 2011 one is great. Yeah, I think they're equally good. If you gave me a choice, I would watch either Fright Night. It'd be like a coin toss.
Wow. I didn't watch it for so many years, and then we talked about like maybe remakes or something on the show, and I think Sir John had mentioned Fright Night, and I'm like, no way I'm watching that. He goes, you should watch it. It's good. And I agree. A few more here. Fred Thompson as Ed Trudeau, the air traffic flight director. Fred Thompson is a very interesting guy.
He's the guy from Law and Order, right?
Yeah. He's a politician, an attorney, a columnist, an actor, a radio personality. He served as a U.S. Senator from Tennessee from 94 to 2003. and he was an unsuccessful candidate in the Republican Party presidential primaries in 2008.
Oh,
That's
in
crazy.
2008.
Yeah, not that long ago.
No.
Right? So, yeah, that's Fred Thompson.
I thought you were going to say he ran in like 1980 or something, but 2008, yeah, that's
2008.
recent.
Robert Costanzo as Sipowitz's brother in this movie. He
yeah.
He was the airport police sergeant Vito Lorenzo, the total dick with the car. And you also have Colm Meaney as a pilot of one of the planes, an unfortunate pilot.
Yeah, I recognized him too. I was like, is that Colm Meaney in like a nothing role in 1990?
Role,
okay.
Totally out of the blue. You know, he must have been done doing his whatever Star Trek thing. Just took a little role there. That's all I got. There's a lot of people in this, and I could go on a little more, but
the T-1000 is in it.
Oh my God, young Robert Patrick.
Yes.
I didn't
that
look
young.
Up.
This is only like the year before Terminator 2, isn't it?
But was this his first role? It must have been a very
I don't know about
role.
that.
I didn't look up
because he has no lines or relevance or anything. He may have a line or two, but yeah, he's not relevant.
Yeah, he said something like, "What do I look like?" And he goes, "You look like a sitting duck."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but he gets a pretty good death, right? He gets that big grate knocked on him and then shot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he does have a good death. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you want to get into what the heck this movie? This is a big movie, man. There's a lot going on.
Was this substantially longer than Die Hard? Because it felt like it. I didn't recall Die Hard being a 2-hour movie.
I don't remember how long Die Hard was, but this was just over 2 hours. Yeah, you could look it up. What I think is halfway to 3/4 of the way through the movie, and I look at the time, and I'm only 30 minutes into it.
Oh no, the first Die Hard is longer than this.
Was it really?
Yeah, the first Die Hard is 2 hours and 11 minutes. I think this one was 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Well, they did a lot better stuff in the first one. And
the first one felt more economical.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It was a tight plot. I'm not really giving away what I think of this because we'll do that at the end with our ratings. But it totally felt long to me. Like literally, I was 30 minutes into it, and I thought I was at least halfway through. So much happens. So basically, how's this thing start? You know,
it starts with McClane getting towed.
Yeah, right. You see the Virginia license plate.
And he's getting towed, and it's Christmas again, which is stunning to me that they released this in summertime. I mean, why wouldn't you wait until the Christmas season to release this movie? And there's always the is Die Hard a Christmas movie argument. And I said to the first one, yes. But like this one, Christmas seems to play less of a role. They're not constantly playing Christmas music, but still, you're setting it at Christmas. Snow is a huge point in the plot. Why wouldn't you release this in the winter?
I don't know. It was delayed a little bit. I don't know how, like it was delayed maybe a month. They had planned on releasing it a little earlier, but still, no, you're totally right. Because Christmas is a part of it. There's not a lot of the music, but you know, it's a key plot point that it is Christmas and it's a very busy airport and stuff like that. Yeah. So his car is getting towed and he has a little moment with Vito Lorenzo saying, "Hey, you know, professional courtesy or whatever." And that guy
shows him that he's just from Los Angeles and Vito doesn't care.
Yeah. He don't care. He's a total dick, that guy. Yeah, and he comes up like 2 or 3 more times in the movie, and every time he's just got that face where he looks at you and he smiles, and you just want to punch him.
Yeah.
So what do we find out? This to me, it's hard to keep track of all the stuff going on in this, but I think we learn through like some TV like snippets that we either hear on maybe the radio or on the TV that someone's watching, that there is that military leader, Ramon Esperanza, is headed for Dulles, right? He's headed for Dulles Airport. And then we also
burying the lead that we learned this while naked William Sadler is doing Tai Bo.
Yeah,
or Tai Chi or some Tai something, Tai Chi, Tai Bo. Tai something, Tai Chi, Tai Bo. He's doing like some kind of like, martial arts, slow motion, shifting around, but he's completely naked while a TV is on in the background giving us the exposition that we need for the movie. Yes.
Exactly. That's what it was. So why is it that all naked guys who are really buff are bad guys?
It reminded me of Mallrats, where Michael Rooker does the same thing. Like he's completely naked in front of a TV or a radio in Mallrats, and I don't know if Mallrats was imitating Die Hard 2 or not, but
and also in the movie Angel.
Okay.
I forget who the actor was. Same deal. Like it's a guy lifting weights. He's like sweaty and naked and really cut. And these guys are all bad guys. I don't think there's ever been a good guy that was like working out or something in any movie. But anyway, I was surprised at William Sadler. I mean, that guy was cut. He was ripped.
Yeah.
I'd never really thought of him as, that type of physique. But
no, he looks good in this movie. Good for him, man. I never in my life did I look as good as he does naked. So good for him.
Yeah, right. I think then it goes on. We see the couple guys kill like a caretaker of a church. So they're setting up their.
Seems weird early in the movie. I was having a hard time placing what was going on because I was like, this whole movie's about an airport, but 10 minutes in, we segue off to this church and these people kill a pastor at a church. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't know what this has to do with anything.
Yeah. And I guess the parish, the congregation is gone. Like they don't come back. They're not worried about anybody coming there. There was a sign on the outside said something about future home of some daycare.
Oh, okay.
But
I know the pastor inside talks about the church is closing because he delivers the line like, I feel like part of me is dying with this church. And that's when they shoot him.
Yeah, of course. And like, well, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do that. And then I guess we see Stuart walking through. We see a whole bunch of things going on in the airport, right? We see the lady reporter. And she's picking people out left and right. She's got an eagle eye. And then McClane is there. I don't know. He just goes in there, I guess, while his car is impounded, and he's just going in waiting for his wife.
Yeah, he's waiting for her flight to land. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it weird because I don't know. In the airports I've been in, it's not like you go in the airport to hang out to wait for people. I'm usually outside, but. Whatever.
You know what? The Pittsburgh International Airport, when it was built like as a mall out at the terminals. It was built for like people to come in and spend their day there and what have you. And then obviously 9/11 happened and now you can't do that.
No, you can't do that, right?
But yeah, I think originally some airports were anyway. I've only ever been to Dulles once in my life and I hated it.
Yeah, I have been to Dulles, but it's been a long time. Everything's, I'm sure, different now. So then, what do we see? What does McClane see happening in the airport?
Well, he sees two of Colonel Stewart's guys going through the airport, and he like eagle eyes that one of them has a gun. Like he just barely sees this guy has a gun walking through the airport, so he starts following them. They go into some restricted area that I'm not sure how they had access to, but they had access to this restricted area, and McClane has to get the janitor guy to swipe the key and let him in so he could keep following them.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And then they go in. He's like, "What do I do now?" He's like, "Call the police or call security or whatever it was." Then he has a pretty decent shootout in that conveyor maze. I don't know that conveyor system would be right there in the middle of like the food court. That seems a little weird. Yeah, he has a witty line with the guys, and then of course there's the ducking behind the conveyors, and he's fighting. One of them gets away, right?
Yes, yeah, one of them gets away. McClane kills the other one. He like crushes the guy's head in some machinery of some sort.
That's right.
But the other guy does get away because during the fracas, McClane loses his badge and his gun.
Yeah, and that comes back too in a weird way that I didn't quite understand. Yeah, that's right. So he's fighting the guy, and I guess there's these crushing rollers that can literally crush a man's skull.
Yeah, because
It
that's how
seems a little
McClane wins the
dangerous,
fight.
but yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, and then
Also,
you see
shout out to this. Like, this fight scene we're talking about is 13 minutes into the movie. They waste no time getting to an action set piece in this movie.
yes, that's what I meant when I said like I was a half an hour into the movie and I felt it was half over.
Yeah.
Because they've already had so many things going on and action and you meet all the characters by then already. Yeah, so he does kill that guy, and I think I don't know. He leaves. He's chasing the other guy. Something happens, right? Oh, does he? So he gets knocked out or something.
McClane?
Yeah, he's in there and fighting, and then I think he gets knocked out or he loses his gun, like you said already.
Yeah.
But then he wakes up, and there's like some police over him, and they're like trying to figure out who this guy is. I don't know. It's all confusing.
Oh, McClane is chasing the guy, and they get into like a scuffle, and the security barges in, and they all aim their guns at McClane, allowing the other guy to get away.
Yeah.
And McClane's like, "Hey, wrong guy, idiots!" But by that point, it's too late. The other guy's already gotten away.
And somehow the cops in there have found his badge and gun.
Yeah, there's no way they were finding those in all that luggage that was scattered about from the fight they had. There's no way they were finding a small badge and a gun in there.
Yep. So then he's back out, right? And he's back in the airport. And
this is where we get introduced to Dennis Franz.
Yeah, so he goes to Dennis Franz, and man, I like Dennis Franz. That guy can yell and really get on your nerves. Man, oh man, he seems so high and mighty. I don't know about you, but is he at the same level as just like a cop or a detective? He's airport security. Is he a real cop? And I don't mean to offend anybody who might work in airport securities or whatever, but it doesn't seem like he has the authority or,
Yeah, we didn't have the Department of Homeland Security in 1990. So, like, was this guy essentially just a mall cop? I don't know. I don't know how seriously they took airport security in 1990. Obviously, in 11 years, a lot of things would change. But for 1990, I don't know if this guy was basically just a glorified mall cop or not.
Yeah, he seemed to wield a lot of power for a glorified mall cop. And he's out even like later in the movie when the military unit is on their mission. He's like out there walking beside him, like, why is this guy out here? But yeah, so I think this is around the time where he spies the dead guy who's very bloody. It looks like his face was peeled off or something, and he's just like getting his fingerprints.
Yeah, McClane goes up to like the budget rental car part of the airport, and he steals the lady's ink pad and a piece of paper so he could get fingerprints on the dead guy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then he somehow faxes them in because he's making real sweet on that lady.
Yeah,
and he faxes them in to his old buddy, right, from
Al.
From Al, yeah,
Al Powell, which is a hard name to say.
Al Powell. Yeah, it is hard. What was the report on those fingerprints of that?
The report is that fingerprints guy.
Security.
Yeah, he died 2 years ago in like a military mission of some sort in somewhere in Central America. He was reported as dead 2 years prior, but obviously there he was at the airport, not dead.
It seems like a really, really convoluted conspiracy going on here.
Yeah, it's a cheap enough way, I guess, for McClane to figure out that this is like a military conspiracy kind of thing going on, and these people he's going up against are ex-military or what have you. But yeah, it seems that plot point kind of gets dropped for a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what it is. So he already knows that Sipowicz doesn't want him around. He's already told Sipowicz, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. He's like, hey, get the fuck out of here. I don't care what you did in Nakatomi Plaza. But then he goes, so Sipowicz is up in the air traffic control tower, and somehow McClane gets in there. I don't think anyone can just walk into that tower, right? Like,
No,
how
he
does
just
that happen?
he just follows Sipowicz and like nobody stops him.
All right. Yeah, so he's talking to him. So that's Ed Trudeau, the real life presidential candidate guy. And then they start talking about this weird dead man cover up and the drug lord come in. And this is where we first meet the engineer Barnes. What do you think of him?
I liked him as a character. I felt like they were trying to make him the more full-time Al in this movie, like he was John McClane's black sidekick in this movie. And yeah, they were trying too hard to make him that character, but I liked his character. He was interesting. He gets into a firefight later on in the movie where the T-1000 dies. And yeah, he was interesting enough. I wish he had a little bit more to do because he kind of fades away in the back half of the movie. He's more relevant in the first half, but he was good for a while.
And I liked him. Yeah, he was smart. He was thinking outside the box. He came up with like 2 brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good character. Is it this point when the lights go out, or is that later?
Yeah, no, it's while they're in the tower right here. I have power goes out on the runway. They call a code red, and then McClane gets kicked out of the flight control tower after all.
Oh, that's right. Because Trudeau seemed to me like he was sort of taking what McClane was saying and like absorbing it. But then all of a sudden he's kicked out.
Yeah, people keep changing their minds on McClane on this movie. Sometimes they're digging him, and other times they're like, no, you're not supposed to be here. It feels very wibbly wobbly on whether anybody in this movie is on his side or not.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is also when Colonel Stewart, does he contact him at this point and tell him all the demands that he has?
Yes.
Yeah. So what does he want? He wants clearance for Esperanza's plane, right? And uninterrupted. You know, you got to let him land. And then he wants a 747, like put on a runway or in a hangar or something for their own escape afterwards.
Yes, all fueled up and ready to go. Kind of like the stereotypical ransom stuff you see in movies where they're like, I want a fully fueled airplane. Yeah. That's what he asks for, yeah.
Yeah, that's what everyone asks for, but in reality, does that ever work? Is that ever going to work, or has it ever worked?
I can't imagine it would ever work out that way. Yeah, you're not getting an airplane. And if you did, how many people have someone in their crew that can fly an airplane?
Right. It just seems so unreasonable, but people keep asking for it in movies. I don't get it. Trudeau orders all the planes to just, fly in circles, basically. Right. And, a lot of them are going to run out of fuel eventually. And then McClane, I guess he knows about this, and he's worried. Obviously, his wife is still up in the air. Oh, and have we mentioned the whole wife in the air yet? And who she encounters on her plane?
Yeah, she's on one of these planes that's now circling Dulles because the runway's been shut down and nobody can land. So she was coming into town. We mentioned he was in the airport waiting for her plane to land. So I guess we kind of hinted at it. But yeah, she's on the plane with William Atherton's character, and he's like, hey, she assaulted me in the last movie. And, just happy coincidence that they're on the same plane together.
Yeah, he seems so... I don't want to say wishy-washy, but he just seemed so weird in this, in there. And like, he's complaining at the lady that, he wants to be in first class. Training order. He wants to be in first class. He's got a companion, who's probably in first class. And he's just such a whiner. But yeah, and eventually it does go back and forth, but if we stay in that airplane for a while, he does notice. He looks out the window. He's like, why are all those planes flying out? Why can I see so many planes circling around? She makes comments about his aftershave and his breath, and just all these stupid back and forths. I guess you got to do something to show him. And then his companion. What does his companion have that's useful to them?
some kind of device. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's some kind of device that he can tinker with, so it starts picking up the messages from the flight tower, which I was confused because the flight tower, Colonel Stewart shuts down the flight tower's communication so they can't talk to any of the airplanes.
Right.
But there is some background signal that just beeps so that the planes know
Like
that
a
they're
beacon.
over. Yeah,
Right.
like a beacon, so that they know they're over the airport. The good guys end up tapping into that to communicate with the airplanes, and Atherton's minion has a device that allows him to listen into that. So he, while they're circling in the air, he ends up tapping into what the flight tower is telling the airplanes, and he finds out about the terrorists and everything.
And of course,
It gets very convoluted with Atherton's character, and
it really does.
I was fine with Holly being on the airplane, but Atherton's character being up there is just, it's too much of a, hey, look, it's that guy from the first movie. Like,
Yeah.
he shouldn't have been there. That's one of those things where if you take him out of this movie, very little really changes, except for Holly finds out she's in danger instead of just being like, oh, I'm just circling on an airplane.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they probably could have saved, 10 minutes by just eliminating that and all those interactions. But again, that communication beacon thing that you're talking about, that was also devised by engineer Barnes, right? So that was one of the really good things. And prior to that, we spoke about it a little, is his first idea is, we have this communication antenna array. We can go get that and communicate. And that's when they meet up with the Stewart's crew with the Terminator.
And they have the that second shootout action sequence of the movie.
Yeah. So we get past those two things. And then as an example, because he's like, all right, you killed my guys. Now I have to make an example and show you how serious I am. And what does Stewart then cause to happen?
Well, because he has control of the flight tower's communications, he contacts one of the planes that he knows is the lowest on fuel. And he's like, hey, you guys can land. It's totally cool. Just go ahead and land. But he tells them the wrong altitude or something so that instead of hitting the runway, they just crash into the ground.
Yeah. The way I think they said it, like, we lowered the sea level.
Yes. Yeah.
So by lowering the sea level, that in essence raises the runway by whatever it was, like 200
feet, I think.
So,
yeah.
And of course there's no visibility, right? There's a snowstorm. And so
this is where the snow most matters, because if it hadn't been snowing that day, I don't know what the terrorist plan was, because the planes would have seen the runway and just landed.
You're so right.
The terrorists needed it to be snowing that day so these planes couldn't land.
Yep, that's right.
But it also has to be the day that this general is flying in. So it's just a really bad coincidence for the good guys that they're flying this general in the middle of a snowstorm.
It's a confluence of coincidences, and I think I mentioned something like that in the rating in the end. So but that's a pretty cool scene, regardless of how unrealistic it is. And this is where Cole Meany is the pilot.
Yes.
And so basically, if you haven't seen it, you can't see, because there's so much snow that you can't see the runway. But so you're just relying on your computer to tell you the altitude. So you're still flying down trying to get to the runway, but all of a sudden there's like a clearing, or the windshield wipers work for 1 second, and they literally see the runway right in front of their plane, and they're still just descending. They're not ready to land, they're just descending. And of course they try and pull up, but in a spectacular plane, the plane just like right down onto the runway, and everything just falls apart. And it is a pretty brilliant scene.
And before all this happened, McClane goes running, booking it out to the runway.
Oh, that's right.
Two flaming sticks, and he's trying to wave the plane down and get the plane to see him so that it doesn't crash into the ground. But the plane goes over his head and it doesn't see him, and the plane crashes. And one of my favorite parts about this movie is McClane is supposed to be the everyman. He's just a guy who finds himself caught up in these situations, and he's the guy who's going to end up saving the day. What I liked here is when he fails to save the plane, he just fucking cries. Like,
Yeah,
that's
he
a
does.
real
You're right.
reaction. Like, he breaks down and starts crying because he couldn't save this plane from crashing. And I thought, like, that's such a good reaction, because in the 80s, in action movies, you didn't see Schwarzenegger cry. You didn't see Sylvester Stallone cry. You didn't see Jean-Claude Van Damme cry. But Bruce Willis, I mean, it's not like an extended scene of him sobbing or anything, but like, he has a little breakdown here because he tried to save this plane and he just couldn't do it, and all these people die.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way when I saw it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, he's
Like,
an
that's the
everyman.
reaction a real person would have in that situation.
Yep, he's going through, and it's got to be, what is that? One of 3 times in the movie where he's like flown over by a plane, like very closely. Yeah. So we're at this point, we're probably only 45 minutes into the movie, right? There's still a lot to go. So let's just try to barrel through the rest of this. So eventually, we see Esperanza's plane come in, right? He goes in there, and what is the one thing that you wouldn't think that is a smart thing to do on a plane?
Fire a gun.
Yeah, or shoot the pilot.
Yeah. But Esperanza, again, it's one of those convenient things. He can fly planes.
He can fly a plane, right? So that happens, and he also shoots through the windshield.
Yes.
And depressurizes the plane. So now he can't land where they tell him to land. So he lands, and once again, Bruce Willis is out there. Is this the time where he was under the grate?
Yes.
Or was that the next?
Right. No, that was this time right here. Because when Esperanza is landing, he's coming out of a grate on the ground, and he gets stuck in the grate, and it looks like the plane's going to run him over, but he gets out of the way in time.
Yeah. Though I don't remember how big Dulles Airport is, but he seems to know exactly where to go underground, where to come up in every landing strip.
Well, he makes friends with the janitor, and there's a janitor at Dulles who has maps of everything, and that's how he gets where he's going the whole movie. Is he keeps going up to this janitor and asking for maps. Yeah,
and he's really got a pretty good categorizing system.
Yeah, right. They're all alphabetized.
Yeah. So he does that. So he gets he gets Esperanza's plane in a friend. Esperanza's killed everybody on board, right?
Yes.
And in a funny scene when he comes out, I don't know how he gets up there, but Bruce Willis is able to jump up and like just punch him and sort of knock him backwards or whatever, take him by surprise. But of course, Stewart's group comes, takes him away. Willis is still in the plane, and they shoot the hell out of it, right?
Yeah, they shoot the hell out of the plane. And in my notes here, this was one of the other humanizing moments for McClane, because he just starts screaming in desperation while they're shooting up the cockpit. And he's just, it's like a moment of fear. And again, it's like, okay, this is a real human emotion from this character. I dig that.
Yeah, he had a couple of moments where he lets out this sort of yelpish sort of scream.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that too. But I don't know how long grenades take to detonate, but it doesn't. I don't think it's as long as it took in this movie.
No, they have some real delayed reaction grenades they throw at McClane, because they flood the cockpit with like 9 or 10 grenades.
Right. It's not like
they're just sitting there.
You can take one and throw it out, but you're not going to get all of them.
Yeah. And they are sitting there for a while. Yeah. McClane has time to get into the pilot seat, buckle himself in, find the ejector button, and get himself the heck out of there before the grenades blow up. But it takes a while before the grenades blow.
Yeah, it does. and that must be fun to be ejected out, right? And during an explosion, and then hit the parachute. So what happens after that? So they go, and that's when they go back to their base, right? The church.
Yeah, that's when the bad guys go back to the church, and that's when McClane figures out that, this part of the land of the airport goes over this church. So that must be, I think he and Barnes figure this out looking at the maps. They figure out that must be where the bad guys had the ability to shut off the power to everything.
That's right. Yeah, Barnes told him exactly where that would be. He figured it out. He figures out a lot of stuff. He's kind of like the unsung hero of this movie. At some point prior to all this action, Good Times shows up, right, with his crew of merry men. And turns out that Stewart used to be in his platoon.
Yes.
Right. And so he comes in with a bunch of military guys, and they have fights with Bruce Willis's character, but none of that really matters. They end up eventually going to the church. And there's a I don't want to say funny scene, but there's a very noticeable scene where he's in this transport, right, with all his men surrounding him, and every one of them puts on a white mask.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets this look. He just like cocks his head and looks at him. He gets a look in his eyes like, I'm surrounded by a bunch of white guys in masks. And it's very noticeable in the movie, and it caught my attention. But then they get to the church, and what happens at the church?
Well, they have a shootout with the guys in the church, but the bad guys in the church all escape unscathed on snowmobiles that they have parked out back. So they all escape away on snowmobiles, and McClane grabs one of the military guys' guns, and he absconds on his own snowmobile that he finds.
Right. That's right. And they seem to be snowmobiling over a frozen lake. Right? Because
I just assumed it was the road.
Okay, I thought I saw a lot of water movement and stuff, so maybe I was just confused. But you don't see a lot of snowmobile scenes in movies, so that was pretty good snowmobile scene. I don't know if he's taking them out one by one, but I know he has a one-on-one with one of the guys, and he's like shooting right at him. But what's going on? Like nothing's happening to the guy he's shooting at, right?
Yeah, nothing's happening to the guy, and McClane even notes like, I had him in my sights. I know I did. And then he checks the bullets for the gun that he has, and he realizes they're blanks.
And then that whole scene with him with blanks comes into play later when he's back in the airport.
Yeah,
he scares
the military guys are against us. They're actually here with Colonel Stewart, and they're going to turn on us and fly away with the bad guys.
Yeah, this is where I'm start losing my perception of what happened. But so when Grant comes and goes, so his crew is back. You know, the snowmobiles have already gone by. He's back in the transport with his guys, and something strange happens in there, right?
I don't remember.
When he's in there with his guys, they're joking, and one guy says something in particular. He says, I wish I would have served with you earlier.
Yeah, that's when the military guys like explicitly turn heel, because the one guy's like, I wish I would have served with you earlier, and Amos again says, I wish you had too, then I wouldn't have to do this, and he cuts the guy's throat.
Yeah, that came as a shock. I'm like, what? So, you know, so many weird things going on in this movie. And where does we're getting towards the end, right?
Oh yeah, we're pretty much right at the end of this now. So McClane goes back and he tells Dennis Franz like, hey, look, the military guys are bad guys. Their guns are full of blanks. They never intended to shoot the bad guys. And so he gets Dennis Franz on his side for the first time all movie. And they go out to rush the hangar where the bad guys are, but they get into a car accident because William Atherton is reporting that, you know, hey, terrorists have taken over the airport, so there's mass chaos going on. So Bruce Willis sees the reporter lady and says, like, you have a helicopter. Take me over to that hangar over there.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so he does that, and so now he's in with the reporter lady and the pilot of the helicopter. He's like, "Get in front of him! Get in front of him!" And the pilot will have nothing to do with it. It's like,
the pilot's like,
no fucking way I'm getting in front of them.
We're in this little helicopter, and they have like a 20-ton airplane. I'm not getting in front of them.
Yeah. So instead, he convinces him to fly over the plane, and so Bruce Willis at that point, or McClane, jumps out of the helicopter onto the wing of the plane. And what is his intention at this point?
I don't know what his intention is, but he jams his jacket into the rudder of the airplane so that the wing can't fold the way it needs to, so it can't take off. But past that, I don't know what his agenda was out on that wing. I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish. But
it's amazing that you can literally stop an airplane with just your jacket.
Yeah, I don't know if that holds up in court.
Right. So he is out. So you're right. He gets on the plane. So the plane is in motion. Clearly, it's on the runway, getting ready for takeoff. You said,
Amos and Sadler come out to get him.
Right. He sticks his coat in the flap. So now they can't move the flap. So now they can't get the lift that they need. And Amos comes out there first, and they start fighting. I mean, it's pretty cool to see a fist fight, right, on the wing of a plane of a 747 that's moving. So they fight it out, and so he ends up. They fight. They're on the edge of the wing of the plane. Grant goes over the side. He's still holding on to the front edge, the leading edge of the airplane wing, but his legs are dangling where?
Right over the jet, and he eventually gets, suction pulled through the jet, and you get the big blood splatter out the other end.
Yeah. And I can tell you that I know this for a fact, that a bird strike can take down a plane, but a body as big as John Amos's doesn't even make a dent in that engine. Just keeps going. But when he's down there, when Bruce Willis is down there, he notices something on that wing. What is it?
The gas release? Like it's just a knob that you can turn, and you can start spilling gasoline out of the engine. I don't know if that holds up in court, if that's how airplanes work, but sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure that holds up in court, but that's what he sees, and he's about to do that, but that's when really buff William Sadler comes out.
Yeah. They have a fight scene. I don't remember what happens to Sadler. Does he just kick McClane off the wing and then go back inside the plane?
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, okay. They're fighting. So he does get the best of Willis in the fight, but Willis is now hanging off the wing, kind of just like Grant was. But at the same time, he knows where that little latch is, and he grabs that latch and releases it while he falls off the wing and rolls away to safety. So he's now laying in the middle of the runway. The plane is still moving down the runway, getting ready to take off, but it's trailing a big stream of jet fuel.
Yes.
And
McClane's a smoker, and this is where his smoking finally pays off, I guess. Right. I hadn't considered, that it being relevant that he's a smoker, but this is where it pays off because he has a lighter.
Yeah, he has a lighter, and I don't know how fast flame travels compared to jets on a runway, but it traveled fast enough to lick up that whole stream of jet fuel, and in a spectacular, I have to say, fashion. As the plane is leaving the runway, that fire leaps from the ground to the engine. And it's a great scene. I mean, I love that scene.
Yeah, plane blows up, all the bad guys die.
Yep. And then, well, it's not quite over yet, but it's pretty much over at that point. I think, what does he get a ride back to safety? And Marvin, the trusty old janitor Marvin,
Yeah.
who lives in the catacombs
He does
of
live in
the
like the
airport.
weird ass basement of the airport. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets him and takes him back to Holly, and then basically that's it. It's over right there.
Well, all the planes in the sky see this trail of gasoline on the ground, and they're like, "We can see the runway now. We're all gonna land like right over top of that flame." And it's okay, sure, movie, why not?
Flaming every single one of them, one after another, and they all. It seemed like the first one stopped short, so I don't know how that's going to work with all the ones behind it. But anyway, yeah. So that's it. That's the whole story. So before I get into the box office, I have a little. I didn't go too deep, but I want to try something new, and you're going to be the first one to try it. So
Fantastic.
John's not here, so it's going to be you. This idea has been kicking around in my head for a little while. It's a little thing I want to call mistakes were made.
And you blew it!
Okay.
So this could be any kind of mistake, something that you think could have been done better, a plot point, bad casting or production problems, or even that donut that you ate at work, even though you had 3 bowls of cereal at home, anything at all. So what do you think? What mistakes were made in this film?
What mistakes were made? I'm looking over my notes here, and you know what was, I don't know if it was a mistake. I don't know if it's what you're looking for, but the scene we talked about where McClane ejector seats out of the cockpit.
Okay.
Like, the effect was terrible. It was the worst looking scene of the entire movie whenever he ejector seats out. And 2, he ejector seats out, the parachute comes up and he starts slowly drifting down to the ground. Why didn't the bad guys just shoot the living hell out of him while he was slowly drifting to the ground?
You're right. They just take off instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Like he's a sitting duck while he's up there. Why don't they just shoot him out of the sky? But they don't. They just leave.
Yeah, no, that totally qualifies for mistakes were made. I want to say, I think it goes on way too long. I think they're just trying to throw in too many plot elements. Yeah. Their decree was to expand on the original, make the plot of the novel more complex, but I think they took that too far, and the worst mistake, I think, in my estimation, is all the suspension of disbelief, the coincidences that you have to overlook to make it believable. It
just happens to be snowing, which, like I said, if it wasn't in the middle of a blizzard, then the planes would have been able to land just fine and the bad guys wouldn't have had any power. Yeah. It's just a huge coincidence that they're bringing the general in during a snowstorm. Otherwise, the bad guy's plan falls apart.
Right. Exactly. The fact that, hey, it's Christmas Eve again. His wife's in danger again. I mean, really? They even make a point of calling that out in the movie. Yeah, so at least
the guys, he says, like, how can the same thing happen to the same guy twice? Yeah.
Yeah, he says it about himself. All right. So the box office for this.
All you care about is money.
Hey, this wasn't my job today. So I just put this together. I didn't do a lot of research to make sure it's true, but the box office was $70 million. It said 60 to 70. So I'm assuming, maybe 70 in like marketing and stuff like that. And the US weekend says 21.7 million for its first weekend, and domestically pulled in 117 million, and worldwide 240 million.
Okay. So
that's pretty good for right. So on the year, Die Hard came in at number 8. And I'm assuming this is domestic because Box Office Mojo really pisses me off, because you can look up domestic and worldwide, and you can sort it different ways. But so many times, and I run across this a lot, I look at the worldwide box office, and it shows me only the domestic box office. But I know because in another area of Box Office Mojo, it shows me the worldwide, and they don't match. So I can almost never believe them anymore. So anyway, Die Hard 2 was number 8. Number 7 was Total Recall. Number 6 was Hunt for Red October. Number 5, John.
And Hunt for Red October was directed by McTiernan, who did the initial Die Hard.
The initial
correct?
Die Hard, right? Exactly. You got it. Number 5 was the one where I was first came up with what we call in the pint the bitch clause. So that was a time where
Turtles?
I would drop out from movies because I didn't want to watch them. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was number 5 that year. Number 4, Pretty Woman. Number 3, Dances with Wolves. Number 2, Ghost. Ghost is a good movie. I don't know.
Oh, Ghost is a phenomenal movie. I love Ghost. Yeah.
And number 1, Home Alone.
Home Alone.
285.7 million. All right, let's get into the rating of this.
Let's do it. It's go time.
I want you to go first.
Okay.
What did you think? What would you rate this movie?
So it was really convoluted. It was a lot of stuff was rehashed from the first movie, like down to him saying yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and he spends some time in an elevator shaft and he spends some time in a basement. Even he calls out, like I said, how can this happen to the same guy twice? And it felt like at a lot of points they were just playing the hits from the first movie. That said, I liked that it would have been so easy for them to make the bad guys robbers again and make it another like, oh, look, it's a twist. They're not really terrorists. And in this one, they were just terrorists. That's all it was. And they had a political agenda, and it was fine because they didn't repeat having a stupid twist just for the sake of doing it. Bruce Willis is good in these movies. I like the humanizing aspects of him. I'll stick with my letterbox grade, which was 3.5 for this. I thought it was enjoyable. It's a good 90s action movie. It's one I'll probably never revisit, and it is, I think a lot of this movie's problem is that it comes on the heels of Die Hard, which is one of the 5 best action movies ever made, and this isn't a paste on that. So, but I mean, a lot of movies aren't a paste on Die Hard, and you can't knock them all down because of that. This just happens to be Die Hard sequel. So 3.5. It's good. It could be great, and it's not.
All right, I get it. I get you. What would you rate Die Hard?
Oh, Die Hard's a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
And that's only because I've only seen it once. If I watch Die Hard again, I'll probably bump it up to a 5, but I don't give a lot of movies a 5 on one viewing.
Wow, I'm surprised you've only seen it once. I went back to my notes. I thought we did this I thought we did Die Hard maybe like 2 years ago, but I think I had to go all the way back to 2022. To see that. So, and I checked my Die Hard rating, and I did rate it a 5. I've seen it way more than once.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I did give it a 5. I'm sure John gave it a 5 too, because like you said, it's a top-notch action movie. But this movie, it knows what its assignment is, right? It wants to make everything bigger and louder and add more mayhem, and then set it in an airport. Because why not? A lot of people in an airport, and it does that. You know, it's definitely entertaining. It's got good action. It does have some pretty spectacular scenes. You know, some good fights, stuff like that. But it just doesn't reach the iconic status of Die Hard, like you said. It just doesn't.
There's nothing in this movie that you come away with remembering forever like you remember scenes from Die Hard.
Exactly right. I mean, it's got good scenes, and when you watch them, you're like, oh yeah, you know, you got the baggage area stuff, you got the runway crash, the fight on the wing, but none of it, like you said, it doesn't stick with you like forever. And Willis does good. He does well. He brings back his action chops, and I think this pretty much solidified him as an action hero, right? An action star. He's a little less witty in this movie than the first one, I think.
Yeah, what's his big line in this movie whenever he's talking to the lady at the budget rent-a-car and says, "Just the facts, ma'am," and it's
just
like,
the facts, right? So he has a couple of lines, but they're groaners.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So William Sadler as Colonel Stewart, he's not the level of Hans Gruber, but he's a pretty solid villain, right? His physicality, his coldness. I mean, that dude like took out a whole plane without even like second thought. But he lacks the intellectual prowess, I think, that Alan Rickman gave Gruber. And I know I shouldn't be comparing, just rating it on its own, but I have to compare in this case. And I do like the secondary characters. You know, Frank Nero was pretty good as Esperanza. You didn't get a lot of him, but he was fun to see. And I love Dennis Franz, but fucking hey, man, his yelling got on my nerves. Every single scene, I think, is him yelling. And of course, Amos. So it's good to see those guys. But like you said, this movie just lives in the shadow of Die Hard. It won't be remembered. It's not nearly as clever. It's not as tight. Like that was the thing about Die Hard, right? It had a really tight plot. The one thing that really bugs me about this is it operates. It's based on lots of coincidences.
Yeah.
And that just kind of annoys me that they couldn't come up with something a little better, a little more unique. But I know it sounds negative, but it's a fun movie to watch. But like you said, I'll probably never rewatch it, especially over Die Hard. Like if I'm going to rewatch a Die Hard movie, it's going to be Die Hard.
Yeah, and if you're not going to watch Die Hard, you're probably going to watch Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah. But I'm going to agree with you. I think 3.5. That's a good score. So, Stu, why don't you tell us about what's going on Stew World Order?
Oh, stuff. I'm sure. No, Stuff and things. No, the Stew World Order podcast, we still review random comic book movies. We've still got like all these years into the Stew World Order podcast, we still have like 70 movies left on the list that I haven't covered. Like, I think if I recall correctly, I haven't done any of the Iron Man movies, or maybe I did Iron Man 2, but I haven't done 1 or 3.
Oh, wow.
I haven't done a lot of movies. It's surprising all these years in the amount, the types of movies that haven't been pulled or people haven't chosen. So still got a lot of movies to go through before I got to worry about changing up formats. And over at swoproductions.com, we still have new articles every single weekday for the foreseeable future. Anyway, we have fiction, we have movie reviews, we have Pop-Tart reviews still. Someday I'm going to get back to my Buffy watch through, but season 6 is such a drag and I just don't want to watch it. But I have been doing my Buffy the Vampire Slayer first time watch through. I'll get back to it. Season 6
I've never watched
miserable. Oh, it's okay for a while. Like it was good. It was entertaining. I kept wanting to watch new episodes anyway, but I'm in season 6 now. And it's just like, I have no desire to keep watching this whenever I could watch a movie instead.
Did you ever rate the blueberry crumble, lemon blueberry crumble?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
The article hasn't released yet, but those are one of the most recent ones they've come out with. I have eaten them and done an article on them.
Okay. Because I bought a box and I still have half of it upstairs right now in my cupboard. I liked the straight up lemon better, personally.
Oh, I've never had straight up lemon. Those ones missed me.
You reviewed it on one of something. You licked it. It was the one that you licked.
Oh, that was I think lemon meringue.
Lemon meringue. There we go.
Yes.
Lemon meringue. Yeah.
They had a bunch of flavors that came out that were like the same as pies. I remember that. Yeah, I did a video review of that. You're right.
Yep. So that's it. Check out the Stew World Order. It's got a lot of stuff going on over there. And we come out weekly on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, all the podcatchers, and on YouTube. It's the Pint, a pop culture podcast, and Instagram. It's at the Pint Pop. Yeah, that's what it is. And of course, you could be a Patreon. You could be a Pint Insider. www.patreon.com/thepint. And then you get lots of exclusive stuff like 12 Angry Men. We had so much fun doing that. I love that movie. All right. Any last things to say?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Mr. Falcon. Mr. Falcon.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!